Good morning, everyone. Starting our podcast, Facebook Live.
With a yawn?
With a yawn. In case you couldn't hear it and you're just listening, I just wanted to point that out. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Facebook Live on Tuesday, May 16th. Dylan's a little tired, but we have a lot to talk about this morning. So before we jump into some of those headlines, live on Facebook every weekday morning, but of course you can watch it on your Facebook feed anytime throughout the day. We make it into a podcast. Go to InForum.com/podcast. Look for the InForum Minute. You can listen to it there if that's what you like. And also you can find us on our InForum YouTube channel. And so we want to start with wildfire smoke. Yeah. It's a huge story right now.
Talked about it yesterday, so you can't say you didn't know it was coming. We knew it was coming. We talked about it yesterday in First News, and of course today it's just much worse. It almost looks like it's cloudy out, but it's just the smoke that's up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, blocking our sunshine. Very vibrant sunsets, sunrises, because the smoke particles, it causes the light to scatter differently, and that light it scatters differently because it's a shorter wavelength. And the shorter wavelengths, think of a rainbow, red, pinks, oranges, those are all colors that have shorter wavelengths. And that's what a human eye can see. So that's why we're seeing these more vibrant sunsets. It's all because of the smoke and the way the light is being scattered. So not much of it's making to the ground, but there is a little bit of it. So if you have health issues, asthma, COPD, any respiratory issues, you might feel it a little bit. But for most of us, you'll be just fine a day like today. It's really not that bad.
Yeah, because it's still really high up too, right?
Yep, it's up in the sky blocking the sun, but we're still doing fine down here. So it might be a little different with that cold front passage we're watching Wednesday, Thursday with a couple of light showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. That could bring some of the smoke down, but it's tough to see because the smoke isn't supposed to be in the atmosphere. Wildfires aren't supposed to happen, but they do. And so when we get that in the atmosphere, it's a little trickier to actually figure out what it's gonna do. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could be a little smelly is the word. It's a possibility. Thursday especially, we get that air down to the if it does make it down to the surface. So
some pretty pictures though people are taking, and we'd love to see them right now. A good time to take a great picture too.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be this week. You can have a picture from winter. Lydia just picked hers for tomorrow, and she picked a winter picture. So you can pick any photo throughout the year for a rain gauge contest. Does not have to be the smoky skies. We have a lot of those though. I just went through probably 100 emails. So send them in. I'm still going through them throughout the morning, and then we always pick out the best ones for our weather newscasts. I know John picks 3, 5, 6, 10. I pick 1 for 11, and Lydia picks 1 for First News. So
and where do you send them?
Do
weather@wday.com.
you want to give some tips? You know, the horizontal
Yes, take them horizontal. Make sure they are clear. If they're blurry, I'll just delete them right away, right to the old trash bin.
Tough judge.
I am very tough. You know, when you go through 100 emails a morning, and that's just from after First News. Like, I went through them before, and John went through them last night. But there were 100 emails just after First News. So when I see a bad picture, it's just instant delete.
Gone.
Sorry, we get hundreds of photos a day for this rain gauge contest. It takes a lot to win. That doesn't mean you can't try. Like, there are some good photos, and I'm only the judge of my show, and I help out Lydia too. John, who knows? Maybe he'll send an email, and John's like, "That's cool." Because John has a different brain for different photos.
That's true.
You know, everyone thinks something else is beautiful, so never know.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
It is.
There you go. Perfect. That was perfect.
Oh my
All right. We talked about the smoke. It's going to be a nice day though. Temperature-wise, did you already cover that? I'm
Temperatures
sorry.
upper 70s, low 80s, a nice day again. I wear the sunscreen.
All right.
So
good advice. All right. Thank you, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan.
All right, well, jumping into some of our news headlines today, people in Grand Forks will be heading to the polls to decide a $79 million school referendum. $55 million is designated for that new Valley Middle School. $6 million would be used to move the district's kitchen from Valley to the district headquarters, and the remaining $18 million would be used for security upgrades across the school district. Polls already open just over an hour ago. They're open from 7 to 7 today at the Alara Center. Of course, we'll have results for you tonight on WDAY News at 10 and tomorrow morning on First News if all the numbers aren't in as well.
Meantime, also in Grand Forks, the Grand Forks Education Association is now withdrawing its support for a salary agreement just weeks after board members and the teachers union agreed to it. They say it's because of conflicts in the district's wording of that proposal. The decision came during last night's meeting, the union's 7th session of negotiations. The proposal Grand Forks Public Schools made was a 9% base salary increase in year 1 and 3% increase in year 2. Now, the teachers union says the offer they talked about is actually a 9% and 3% increase across the board, along with bonuses for teachers with more than 26 years of experience. There will be a meeting next Tuesday to discuss the reworded proposals.
We have a big update this morning to a story that WDAY has been tracking for you for the past few months. We now know that 3 women fired from West Fargo's finance department earlier this year was in direct relation to a $2 million billing error that we've also been covering here on WDAY. For years, faulty meters in West Fargo had incorrectly charged businesses for their sewage, garbage, and water usage. City leaders say they knew about a possible billing error for some time, but they were told it was already taken care of. And of course, then when the Forum put out the article earlier this month detailing that error, some pieces began to kind of fall into place and filling in some of the details there. In March, 3 workers in the financial department were fired, and following that, West Fargo City Administrator and Finance Director abruptly stepped down too. Now, in the aftermath, city leaders say they are creating policies so that this doesn't happen again, and the city has also since hired a new finance director. She'll begin her new role here in mid-June.
New overnight, with just days left in the legislative session, Minnesota lawmakers worked past midnight into the morning hours. They passed 2 new gun control measures. They are now headed to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's desk. That bill will implement universal background checks and create a red flag law to temporarily remove guns from people who are deemed a threat to themselves and others. It narrowly passed in the Senate last night, 69 to 63. The vote actually happened early this morning, so that's after midnight, of course. Meantime, a bill aimed at creating new sick leave requirements has hit a snag in the Minnesota State Senate. The sick and safe time provisions in that bill would require Minnesota employers to offer 48 hours of paid time off for illness, medical appointments, and childcare every year. Now, instead of heading to Governor Walz's desk, that bill will go to a conference committee after Republicans say it violated Senate rules, language for the bill only passed in the House, which is why Republicans have now called for that committee.
It's day 2 of the Essentia Health Fargo Marathon festivities. Tonight, the pups get in on the chance to run around a little bit. It's the Nutrisource Fargo Dog Run. And a portion of the proceeds from the race will go to local animal shelters and rescue efforts. You can still sign up, fargomarathon.com. But there are a few things to know if you're thinking kind of last minute you want to take part. First, your dog should be at least 6 months old to compete. They have to do well on a leash, be comfortable around other dogs and other people as well. Your dog needs to be up to date on its vaccinations and have a signed waiver. That's on the race website. Packet pickup starts at noon to 6 today. On the south side of the Fargo Dome, that race begins at the Fargo Dome at 6:30 tonight.
That'll be a fun event.
Yes.
And good weather for it, too.
Yes.
So that's awesome. All right. Today, President Joe Biden is expected to meet for a second straight day with top congressional leaders to discuss the debt ceiling. This comes as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen issued yet another warning that the U.S. could potentially breach on its debt as soon as June 1st, so the clock is ticking. While the Biden White House wants the spending cap boosted with no strings attached, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and House Republicans do say they're willing to raise it $1.5 trillion, but with budget cuts to some domestic programs. And so far, neither side is willing to budge. So, of course, it's an ongoing process. We'll let you know when there's an update there.
Hot Mic with Izzo is coming up 9 to 11 this morning on WDAY Extra. Fun to see what's going to happen with NDSU's Grant Nelson. He's tracking the road to the NBA with Grant Nelson this week in Chicago. He's going to be checking in at the NBA Combine. Plus, is there a replacement for the Summit League waiting in Sioux Falls? So, of course, always great guests, great topics. Hot Mic with Izzo from 9 to 11 on WDAY Extra.
And don't forget, right now, for 99 cents a month for your first 3 months, you can get an all-access pass to InForum.com. Just visit InForum.com/subscribe to get that deal.
And remember to join us again for our newscast starting at 11 this morning and then this afternoon, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. And we'll be back tomorrow morning from 5 to 7 for more First News.
Bye, folks. Have a good day.